Hi, my name is Louise. Welcome to the Nanny, where we partner with parents in raising godly children and children with good morals. So, in my previous video, I mentioned that it takes a community to raise a child, and one of the people in the community who really help in raising children is the nanny. A nanny is basically someone whom you hire to come and live in your home to help you give personal attention to your children and personal care. So in my previous video, I mentioned that I'll be doing this in seasons. And for the first season, it's basically uh, about from the time when you think of hiring a nanny up to the time when the nanny should leave. And I spoke about in the first episode how long should you have a nanny, and I was advocating for growing your children, raising your children to grow independent of a nanny, and that is by teaching them how to work early enough, teaching them how to be responsible early enough. This is important to them. It will make their life ahead much easier and even new. Now, someone may say, well, me, I'm a nanny, and you're advocating for independence from a nanny, so you're cutting off our job supply. But the thing is that if at all you love nannying and you want to take it as a career all your life, there will always be nannying jobs. There will always be people giving birth and needing someone to help them raise their children. All you need to do is ensure that you become very good at what you're doing. Build a profile, become very excellent at what you're doing, in that you are marketable, you're in demand. You will always have a home to go to nanny. But if it so happens that you became a nanny because there was no other opportunity, maybe you didn't have any other job to do, well, one thing you need to know is that you cannot be in someone's home as a nanny all your life, because the kids eventually grow. They will get to 20 years, they go to campus, they get to 30 years, and then they get married. You cannot be in that home for forever. A time will come and you'll have to go. So the best thing for you to do is, as soon as you get this job, save. Begin to save, begin to save, such that when your contract is done, you have capital to do something else, or maybe you can go and learn a new skill. But don't sit in that home comfortably thinking you're going to be in that home forever. No, a time will come and you will leave. Okay, so for today, episode 2, I want to talk about the age of the nannies. So there are those who are young, if I may say, teenagers, 20 years and below. And then there are those who are older, I would say maybe above 20, you know. So I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of each age group. Then we shall see after that. You'll have to make a choice. So for the younger ones, the teenagers, the good thing about those guys is that they're very energetic. You know, they will play around with the kids. They will climb trees and go for one party after another and run up and down. The kids will really have a blast with these ones. The younger ones. They're very playful. And then you find that they can also relate with your children who are like preteens, because they're almost the same age. So they can relate with one another, which somehow makes work easier for you and for them. And the other good thing is that they easily learn. There's a proverb that says, when a stick is young, it can easily be bent. But when it's old and you try to bend it, it instead breaks, you know. So these kids are a bit young. They can adjust, they can blend in, they can change their schedules. That is the good thing about them. The challenging thing about them is they don't have enough authority over your children, because your children will look at them as, these are also young kids like us. So they easily disrespect them. They can easily get into fights and quarrels with them. The other thing is teenagers, when they get into their periods, that time of the month, you know, they behave unseemingly. You understand? I remember this where I worked, and one of the house helps was 19 years old. So when she got to that time of the month, she would have mood swings. You wake her up to to do her work, she doesn't want. If she wakes up and goes to the kitchen to do her work, she doesn't want to talk to anybody. She's angry. And you find that the children will not understand that. For them, they will think maybe this nanny doesn't like us. You understand? So, we used to bend to her rules. But at one point, the madam of the home called and said, Madam, do you want your job or not? You get it? Because you're not the only one who goes through peace. I mean, all the ladies go through periods, but you have to learn to control yourself. And one thing I learned from my boss in that home is that she knew how to control herself during that time of the month, you know. I remember there's one time when she snapped, you know, and I asked her kindly, are you going through that time of the month? And she was like, oops, you know. And she said, my, I had forgotten. But from that time, she calmed herself down throughout the day, throughout that time. And I really got to learn that, by the way, even when you're going through your peace, you can control yourself. Yes, you feel the anger, you feel the emotions. At times, I mean, the hormones are all over, but you can control yourself. You can choose not to speak. You can choose to walk away, and cool down. It is very possible. You understand? So you can sit with these nannies and talk to them as a mother and say, okay, fine, these things happen, but you can somehow control yourself. Because when you flare up with anger, the kids will think you don't like them. They'll not understand what you mean by you going through peace. Then it will begin to make their work harder. Yeah. Then the other negative thing about the young nannies is that they are easily distracted. You know, if you put on the TV, they'll forget about their work. They'll decide to first sit, watch cartoons with their kids, and play around. If at all they have phones, that is even worse. They'll be on their phones all the time. And by the time madam comes home, or by the time it is time to have lunch or what, none of the housework is done. They are easily distracted. And the other thing is that they're kind of kiddish, because they're young. They're also more so teenagers. They're more so, kids. They're also kiddish in that you, as the employer, whether it's a man or a woman, you need to sit with them and teach them certain things. Like you're raising them like your own children, basically. Yeah. Then about the older nannies, the good thing about them is that they're more experienced in life. They are mature. They can sit and reason out certain things and know, okay, fine, these are just children, or they need to be cuddled, they need to be carried, you feel sorry for them, I help them here and there. They're a bit mature. And the good thing is that they have greater authority. They can command the kids, now let's do this, now let's do this, time to get up, time to do this. And the kids will listen because they look at the nanny as someone who's older than them. Yeah. The challenges with hiring an older nanny is that they have lower energy levels. So you will not find them running up and down with their children. If they're going from one party to another, maybe they will sit and watch the children run up and down. The kids won't have that much fun with them. Yeah, and then the other thing is that they are structured, you know, because they've lived their lives in a particular pattern. So when they come to this new home, it's hard for them to blend in, you know. Maybe they're used to waking up at this time, breakfast is at this time, lunch is at this time, sleep at this time, things like that. They eat this kind of food. So for them to adjust, it is quite hard. Remember, now this is like an old stick. When you try to bend it, it just breaks, you see. And then the other thing is, yeah, yeah, it's hard for them to learn, even language. It may be hard for them to learn English if they're told they're used to speak in vernacular. It may be hard for them to learn the kids' language. And language barrier, it is a problem. It will be a problem for them in raising the children, in learning the children. If at all they come from villages where maybe they are not neat, enter the room and they just throw clothes anywhere. When they come here, they'll do the same thing. And it may be hard for them to learn that they're supposed to be neat. So you find that this nanny, having the character of not being neat, she can spread it to the children. Because when she gets to the children's rooms and they are not neat, for her it is okay, you know. So those are the challenges of hiring a nanny who is older. So I have um, told you the pros and the cons of the different age groups. So it is up to you to choose depending on the needs of your family. on how old your children are, on how much you can afford, the different needs of your family. Basically, it's really upon you. But one thing you need to know is that whichever age group you choose, you have to compromise somewhere, because the nannies are human beings as well. They are not perfect. They also have weaknesses here and there. But one thing for sure is they will help you, is the Lord of raising children. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. That is it for today. Uh, for the next season, we'll talk about something else. All right. Bye bye.